Hey everybody, just wanted to hop on and make a quick video about how to analyze the results of your survey project. So let's jump into it. So we're talking about data analysis and analyzing the themes that are found in your survey results. So when you send out the survey, you're going to get a ton of results back from all of your participants, and it's up to you and your group members to make sense of all of it, to report it back in the form of a final group paper, to let me know what were the major themes that you found across the data. I don't want just a report of every single response to every single question that you asked. Rather, I want you guys to look at the results and tell me, what do the results mean? Tell me the story that the results are giving you. What are the most important findings from your survey? And how can we make sense of all of this data to answer the research question, which is, how do we solve this problem, this community issue? So, a couple pointers on reporting the results. On a basic level, you're going to want to report the population sample size. That is just simply how many people took the survey. So you will, in your final paper, you will just give me the total number of people who took your survey. You will also give me the demographics of the population. So that's all the demographic questions that you asked. I need to know, who are these people? And what are their demographics. So all of this information, by the way, is on Canvas, but I just wanted to make a video as well to explain all of it. More importantly, I need you guys to explain what story is each result telling you. So you need to describe the scope of the problem. So how severe is the problem? How is it impacting people? What exactly is the issue? And give me the who, what, where, when, why of the issue based on your survey results. We also need to know the causes of the problem. So what are the factors that contribute to the problem and make it worse or better? And then you will need to report the inferred potential solutions to the problem based on your survey results. So overall, with your analysis of the data and the survey results, you are trying to answer the research question, which again is, how can we solve the issue of X? It's whatever issue that you and your group have been studying this whole time. So you will report all of this in the analysis of data group paper. So what I'm looking for essentially is about 5 to 8 paragraphs, maybe more if your group has more to say, but this is the basics of it. So in the beginning, I'm looking for one paragraph that is an overview of your survey purpose. So remind me again of the topic, the population you studied, and why. You need to describe what exactly the problem is in our community and justify why it needed to be studied. And give me an overview of the kinds of questions you asked. So this is very similar to the project proposal that you turned in. So you will just give me an overview of the topic, the problem, the population you studied, and justify why it was important to study. And then the kinds of questions you asked, I'm not looking for you to say that you created Likert questions and ordinal, nominal. I asked everybody to do that. What I mean is, what topics did you want to explore in this survey, and what sorts of questions did your group ask to try to solve this community issue? Okay, so then after that, you will give a 1 to 2 paragraph summary of your survey results. So this is when you are giving me the most important results of your survey and you're just describing it. So you might include percentages, charts, graphs, qualitative results, anything like that that demonstrates what were the major findings of your survey study. So if you use Google Forms or Qualtrics, they will actually give all of those charts and graphs to you. It's really convenient. You can just download them, and if you need to reference them, you can put them in the paper if you want. So after that, I am looking for an analysis of the results. So this goes beyond just describing what were the results. I'm looking for you now to make sense of the results and tell me the story that is going on. You know this data better than anyone else. So I want you to tell me what is going on with this issue. What does it all mean? Help make sense of it. So you're going to find 2 to 3 major themes that you can identify across all of your data. So with the themes, you're going to label and describe each theme. You're going to explain a little bit about how you found each theme. and what each theme means in relation to the larger problem. And we'll talk about themes in a little bit. So you're going to provide examples from the data as well to support each theme. And that can be a chart, a graph, or just citing a piece of evidence. So 75% of our respondents said this. Or you can provide a direct quote from one of their open-ended answers if the quote is particularly relevant and interesting. So with that, I'm looking for about 1 paragraph per theme to describe what the theme is, label it, give me evidence, and why you think this is a major theme of your data. Then finally, I am looking for about 1 to 2 paragraphs of a conclusion. So this is where you discuss any conclusions you can draw from the data. So essentially, what does this all mean? What do these results tell us about the problem? What is important or relevant or interesting about these results? And of course, you need to describe some potential solutions to the problem based on the results. So you need at least one specific concrete solution to this problem that you can identify within your results. And it has to be specific, including who is responsible for implementing this solution, why would it work, and what evidence do you have from your survey that this solution is going to be the best one. So that is the group paper that will be due at the very end of finals week. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the data analysis process. So your quantitative data, that relates to anything that is reported back in numbers or percentages. So the data that you're looking at is numbers that are counted and measured, and as I said, Google Forms and Qualtrics will do that for you. It's very easy. So you're looking at percentages, charts, graphs, and tables to answer the question, how many people responded one way or another. The goal of this type of analysis is to present numerical results and the broad general points of your research. This will help you attain greater knowledge of your issue, such as how many people does this impact, in what way, and to what degree of severity is this a problem. You'll also want to identify what story is each result telling you. So looking at the graphs and tables, it's one thing just to show someone a graph or a table, but it's another thing to be able to explain in words, what does this mean? And then the other type is the qualitative data analysis, and this will come from your open-ended questions. So the data here is words and phrases written by the participants in your open questions. Google Forms and Qualtrics will not analyze this data for you. You have to be the one to do that and to help make sense of all of it. So you've gotten all these written responses from people. You need to read through all of them and try to make sense of it. Look for patterns in everybody's responses. So if I asked everybody, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? I can expect that I would get a lot of similar results. And then it's my duty to read through all of those results, group together all of the similar responses, and then report that back in my own words. So the goal of this type of data analysis is to identify themes or patterns in the data. So you're looking for strings of commonality among everybody's responses. What sticks out to you? You're trying to understand, interpret, and accurately describe the data to somebody else. So it goes beyond just summarizing. You're trying to make sense of it and report it back to somebody who has not looked at this data yet. Just give me a synopsis of it and what does it mean? You're also trying to uncover meaning and make sense of all of this information that you have. And of course, you're using the themes to say something important about an issue. So it's not enough just to say, these are the results of the survey. Okay, bye. You have to take it a step further and say, okay, so what? What does all this information mean? What can we do with this information moving forward? And an easy way to do that is to explain how can we solve this problem based on all this information that you've collected. So the type of analysis that you guys are going to be doing is a thematic analysis, which relates to the article that we read in class. So thematic analysis is the process of identifying patterns or themes within data. So you have all this data from all of these different people. What is similar among all of the responses? What is standing out? So you want to identify any information that is important or interesting to you. Again, anything that stands out to you as it relates to the issue and how to solve it. Again, information that answers your research question, how can we solve this issue? So any themes or patterns that you can identify that relate to solving the issue, you might want to make note of. And again, you are not just summarizing and organizing the data, but you are interpreting it and making sense of it to someone who hasn't seen it before. Tell us the story that the data is revealing to you. And a helpful tip is that you should not use your main survey questions as the themes for your data analysis. You want to describe each theme in your own words, in brand new language. So after you do all the analysis and lump together the major themes of all of your data and identify the patterns of the most common responses, you want to label those using your own language. So finally, we'll talk about identifying themes, and for this project, you'll want to identify at least 2 to 3 major themes across your whole data set. So looking at the quantitative results and the qualitative results, what are 2 to 3 major patterns that you can report back to us? So again, how can we solve the issue of X? You want to focus on questions, or you want to focus on themes and patterns that relate back to solving the problem. So this can relate to the frequency of responses, and often it does. You'll identify themes that you'll look at the data and the results that you've got, and it seems like overwhelmingly all of the respondents keep saying this one thing. This probably is a major theme for us. If they're all thinking or feeling a similar way, that's a good indicator that that's a huge part of the problem that needs to be reported back. So you might find themes also that relate to common memories, knowledge levels, experiences, attitudes, or behaviors that many of your participants are all sharing. If everybody's kind of saying the same thing, that's a good indicator that that's a pretty important theme to identify. So let's say I'm doing a survey on eating behaviors and eating fast food versus eating healthy food. Maybe I'm identifying a theme that it doesn't really seem like my participants are very knowledgeable about the harms of fast food. It seems that they don't really care about how often they're eating fast food and why that's bad for them. If I'm noticing that across the responses, it doesn't really seem like anyone knows that much about it, then maybe that's a major theme in a way that I can help solve the issue. Maybe I identify instead that everybody has similar experiences for how they've learned about food. Maybe everyone's kind of telling similar stories about, well, my family didn't really educate me much on food. My growing up, going to school, I just ate whatever was there. If everyone is kind of sharing similar stories about their experiences with food, maybe that is a major theme that I want to identify. Maybe everyone has similar attitudes about eating and food. Maybe they think like, oh, eating fast food isn't really a big deal. I eat ramen all the time. I just eat whatever's available to me, whatever's nearby. If it's a bag of chips, that's fine. So maybe I'm noticing across the data and everyone's responses that there's kind of this lackadaisical attitude towards eating food that it's not really a big deal. Maybe I found that as to be a theme. And then behaviors. Maybe I'm noticing that a lot of students are eating poor foods, they're not really properly nourishing themselves, and it seems that this is a pretty severe problem across my participants. Whatever it is, I don't know what it's going to be yet until I look at the responses, but these are just some suggestions of things that you might want to look out for. Another type of theme you might identify in your data would be looking at factors that cause or contribute to the problem. So if I'm doing my survey on eating foods, maybe I'm noticing across the board that people have a lack of time, which prevents them from cooking their own meals. Or maybe healthy foods are just too expensive and they can't afford it. Or they maybe lack access to grocery stores or healthy food options. Those are all factors that a lot of my participants are saying cause them to go out and eat fast food more because it's cheap, it's convenient, and all of that. So you want to ask yourself, looking at the data, what is making the problem worse? And maybe that could be a theme for your group, that there is a very specific, very glaringly obvious factor that keeps popping out at you. And that's not going to be true for every group. Maybe causes or contributing factors isn't really a major theme for you guys. Again, these are just some guiding elements that might help you better analyze your data. Another big one might be prevalent effects of the problem on your participants' lives. So again, look at how the problem is impacting their relationships, their health, their well-being, their grades or their work, their coping skills, any unintended consequences, etc. This will show you, or this will help reveal the scope of the problem, the severity of the problem, and maybe even how we can develop a solution that focuses on one particular area of this problem. So again, with my survey on eating behaviors, maybe I'm noticing that an effect of all their poor eating is feelings of guilt or wanting to change. That's a good indicator or a good theme for me because it indicates that, hey, these people want to change. Maybe they just don't know how to change. And then that will help me develop a solution. Maybe I'm noticing that a lot of people are saying that their eating behaviors are making them tired. They can't focus in class. That's another way that I can identify a theme because I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same thing, and maybe I can develop a solution that's geared more towards energy and nourishment. Or maybe an effect of this problem, people seem to be unconcerned or they don't care. Maybe that tells me that they just lack the awareness of how these foods are impacting their bodies and how they're impacting their well-being. That could be another theme that I identify. Again, I don't know what I'm going to find until I look at the data. So a helpful question that you might want to ask when going through your data is, what do participants find most concerning about the problem? Is there one particular area or one particular part of the problem that your participants think is really troubling or is harming them the most? That could be a major theme that you identify. And finally, a major theme could be a specific solution that you identify from the results. So a lot of you asked a question, how can we help solve this problem, or how can UWM help solve this problem? And if you notice, a lot of participants are saying the same thing. Maybe that could be a theme in itself. The thing about solutions is that they could be explicit or inferred. So explicit solutions would be like if you ask them about solutions, if you ask them how can we solve this, or if you ask them questions about specific solutions that you laid out for them and you got feedback on the different types of solutions and you want to report that back as a theme. So for my survey on food, that could be if a bunch of participants are all saying we need more healthy food choices at UWM, the food pantry could be improved, yada, yada. If I asked about that explicitly, then maybe that could be a theme if everybody agrees. And then there could be inferred solutions too. So if you didn't ask about a particular solution, maybe you can infer one from the data. So for example, let's say I'm noticing one theme is that everybody keeps saying, I don't really know about healthy food options. I don't really care how food affects my body. It doesn't concern me. Well, then that tells me maybe we need better education about food options on campus. So a solution could be an education program or an increased awareness program to help college freshmen learn about food choices and how to make better ones. So that's not an explicit question that I asked in the survey, but I can infer it just based on everybody's responses and them saying, I don't know, I don't care. So whatever solutions you identify in the results, you want to make sure you're as specific as possible and let us know who is responsible for fixing this problem and what is a game plan we could do to actually implement this solution to help fix the problem. And of course, that is all based on your survey results, but you could rely on outside data as well to back up your claims that this is a good solution. So that is all for this little video. I hope it helped you understand a little bit more about how to explain the results of your data. And of course, read the instructions for the group paper to learn more details about how to compile the group paper. Thanks. See you next time.